There's one more place that you haven't mentioned that I see them even more than all these.
Ten Commandments, the Bible.
The Ten Commandments, often written like that. I don't know if God used those or not.
In Rome.
Obviously, they used them in Rome. Okay, we're digressing here. Dates of buildings. If you sometimes go to libraries and stuff, they have up on the top the big MCMX, and that's the date of the building. So good. Roman numerals are used a lot. But be thankful that you don't use them when you have to do calculations. And if you ever want to appreciate the decimal system, you try to multiply X, V, L, I, whatever, times something else. It's very difficult, okay? But as far as I can tell, there are 3 rules that we use a lot. 1 rule that we only use for real big numbers. So 3 rules is the main thing. And there are 7 symbols, unlike decimal system, which goes 0 to 9. So let's try it. Here's the first one. I, which is usually written as a capital I, represents 1. And you can use that up to 3 times. So this is the first rule. You can only use this up to 3 times. So if you want to show 1, you want to show 2, you want to show 3, you're all set. All right? The next symbol is X. This is the next most used symbol. And X follows the same rule as this, except X represents 10. And X can also be used up to 3 times. Okay? So what would 2 X's be? 20. And 3 X's would be?
30.
My clothes are this size. And that's another subject. All right. Now, what was the other symbol you wanted to say?
IV. V.
Okay. V. Now, V stands for 5, but you can only use V 1 time. You can't use V 3 times. You'll never see V, V, V. All right? Everybody got that? Now, here's the next thing. If you see the numbers, they're normally from larger to smaller. That's how we write our numbers, right? So if you wanted to write 12, you would say XII, because that's 10, 11, 12, right? You want to do 15, you do XV, no problem. But what if you see an I behind an X?
9.
You can only do that once, but if you see the little number behind a larger number, you subtract that, right? So that's how we show 9. All right, very good. Okay, let's see if we can do all of our numbers up to 10 now using what we've just learned. And by the way, if X is behind a bigger number, that's also subtracted. Okay? So let's try. What's 1? I. 2? 3? Okay, now, let's just jump down a second. What's this? 5. And so we want to go, we can't do any more than that because we can only do 3 in a row. So let's see if we can, what are we going to do? IV. Zzz, right into your arm, right? No, IV means 1 less than, because I is smaller than V, so that's 4, right? How are we going to show 6?
VI.
Take the 5 plus 1, so it'll be VI. 7 VII. 8 VIII. Now we're getting tricky again, because we can't use any more I's. I can use 3. IX, right, because that's 10 minus 1. If it's in the back, it's minus, and there's 10. Good. You guys are whizzes. Okay? Okay. Now let me just go ahead and show you a couple more that you don't use on the smaller numbers, but this will get you all the way up through, if you look in your book, this will get you all the way through the number 39. Just by using I's, V's, and X's. Okay? I'll let you do that yourself. Now, the next 2 numbers are L, which represents what?
50.
50, because it's almost like the V in the sense that it's the 5, except it's 5 with a 0. So L is 50. And what's C stand for?
100.
100. Good. That helps us with metric, too, because centi means 100 and centimeter, that kind of thing. All right? So how are we going to show 60, do you think? LX, because that'd be 50 plus 10 would be 60. How about 70? 80? 40? XL, extra large. I wish I could fit into extra large, but okay, XL means 50 minus 10, because the X is smaller than the L, right? That's 10, that's 50, and so that's 40. Good. How do we show 90? XC, because 10 minus, because it's smaller and it's behind, that'd be 90, good. And then C would be 100. So you're all set. So you can go way far with that. Don't forget, you can never use I, X, or C more than 3 times. You can only use L and V, how many times? 1 time. And if the smaller number is before the number, what do? Subtract. Okay, that's our first 3 rules for Roman numerals. Okay, do you remember when we did fractions, we said that there was 3 aspects of fractions, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So this time I'm going to draw a fraction, and this is, instead of being, well, what do you think that represents?
A square.
It represents 1. Okay, so this is 1. And I'd like to show you 2/5 of 1. So what the first thing I do is I start with 1. Got 1. What's this 5 do? Divides it into 5 equal parts. To do that, I'm going to have to draw 4 lines, right? 2, 3, 4 lines. And now I have 5 parts, so I've done that. And then how many of those parts do I want? 2. So I'm going to color in 2 of those parts. And that's 2/5 of 1, right? We started with 1, divided into 5 equal parts, and then we're counting 2 of those parts. So if I just showed you this for the first time, though, you might look up there and say, oh, that's 2/3. You see the 2 and the 3? But remember, you get this piece by counting out how many total pieces, and this is how many are colored pieces, all right?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to give you another one. You tell me what this one is. I'm going to work it out, and you write down what fraction it is. Ready? What am I starting with? 1. Good. And don't say anything now. Just write down what my denominator is. Just write it down. Let me see if you got it. Okay, very good. How many think what it is? 4. Okay, write down my numerator. What do you think it is? 3. So what you would write is, this whole thing is 3/4 of 1. Now, can I write that line at an angle like that?
Yes.
This is the same as 3/4, so don't get nervous if you see the angle. It's the same thing. Okay, we'll do one more. This time I'll say it and you write it. And this helps us to do build, write, say. Draw a square, make 1. Cut it up into 3 equal parts. 3 equal parts. Cut it up into 3 parts. Now, how many lines did you draw to make 3 parts?
2.
2 lines. That's what I was thinking. Now, shade in 2 of those parts.
2/3.
So the first thing we did was we drew 1. We divided it into 1, 2, 3 equal parts. And then we shaded 2 of those parts. And so what we got is 2/3 of 1. Notice the 3 components to a fraction. Good. Okay, now, tell me what you know about Roman numerals. Some rules about Roman numerals. Well, what's 1? I. Okay, what would be like 5?
V.
V. What would be 10?
X.
Okay, what would be 100?
C.
C, good. How about 50?
L.
L, good. Okay, now we're going to learn 2 more. One is for 500. You know what 500 is?
M.
Nope. D. Okay, so D would be 500. I'm going to put that in this row here. And what would you do for 1,000? M. And about the only place I've ever really used this is when I'm at a library and I want to see when the library was built, or some old building that will have MC, MM, XL, whatever like that. Sometimes books will use Roman numerals, right? But what I'm about to show you, you may never really use again, but these you can use how many times together? 3, right? You can have 3 I's, you can have 3 X's, 3 C's, or 3 M's. Can you have 3 V's? No. Can you have 3 L's? Can you have 2 D's? No, you can't have those. All right. The other rule is if you have like an XC, what's that mean?
10 back.
If it's behind it, you subtract 10, right? So this would be what? 100 minus 10 would be 90. Could you have this?
Yes.
Yes. Could you have this?
Yes.
And what would that be?
900.
That'd be 100 taken from 1,000, right, would be 900. Okay. Now, let me just show you one more little rule, if you will. How would you show 4,000? Well, you can't do 4 of these, right, because you're only allowed to use 3 of those. And we don't know what 5,000 is, or else we could just take 1,000 from it, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to show you how to make 5,000. How do you make 5?
V.
V. Okay, what's that? A line on top of it, which means it's 5,000. What would this be? 10,000. Get that? So how would we show 4,000?
I use the line over it.
This is how much? 5,000. What's this?
1,000.
What's 1,000 taken from 5,000?
4,000.
4,000. Very good. Okay, so we can do big numbers. What in the world do you think this would be? How much is that?
100,000.
Oh, close. 100,000 would be that. So this would be 1,000 thousands, or 1 million. Okay? Now, what we're going to do now is I'm going to put a bunch of these together as a number and see if you could write them. You ready? I'm going to warn you, you will probably never use this in real life, but it's kind of fun. So we're going to do it. Think of it as a puzzle, a little challenge, okay? How would we write this with Roman numerals? Which way do you want to go? Well, let's just take it apart and do this. 200,000, and then you've got 40,000, and you've got 3,000. Here you got 700, you got 90, and you've got 2, okay? So what would we do for 200,000? What would 100,000 be? C with a line. So you'd have how many of those? 2 C's with lines. All right, got that one. How about 40,000? Well, what would 50,000 be?
L.
L is 50. With a line would be 50,000. But we got to take
X with a line.
X with a line. Very good. Because XL is 40,000. All right, so we've done this one. How'd you do 3,000? It's kind of like a candy. What's 1,000? M. And M. And M. Okay, so it'd be MMM. Because it'd be 3,000. Got that okay? All right, now we got to do 700. How are we going to do 500? We just learned that one. 500 is D. Okay, am I running off the board? You okay? Okay, so you've got 500 plus 2 more 100, there's 700. How'd you do 90? What's 100? C.
And next one.
Okay, so it'll be XC. This is a big problem. How would you do 2? Aye, aye. Aye, aye, sir. Okay, there you go. Isn't that a killer? Kind of fun, though. Okay, now we're going to go backwards. I'm going to give you one in Roman numerals. And we're going to do M, M, M. Boy, I got to read this one. LXX, CIV. And we're going to have lines over everything from here to here. Okay, how do you want to do it first? Okay, let's take these guys right here. 3M's, what's that? 3,000 thousands would be 3 million. 3 million. Or if you want to, you could write it out 3 million. Let's just write it in. What would this be? L is what? 50, 60, 70,000. So there's no 100,000, so it'd be 70,000. Okay, what would that be? 104. Now, if you wanted to, you could have written it like, you know, the 3 million, and then you could have put down 70,000, and then you could put down 100, and you could put down 4, but when you add them all up, you get that, right? Okay, there you go.